Sorry, I got a phone call, and when I get a phone call, it interrupts the video. Sorry, Vernon. I'm making a video, and your phone call has made me start it all over again. But you know what? That's okay, because my babble is going to be uploaded first, and now we're hitting the content. So, we went to page 62 and 63 and 64, and now we're at page 64 and a half. Okay, because we left off with the letter, until then, Annalise. In the meantime, then, Hindbad also done some talking. Also done. That's what it says. Quote, the child is being hounded by demons, unquote. She would point to Anna, which is the mother. Quote, I know what I am talking about. I have been possessed. People before. If you are involved with religious matters such as I am, you will know these things. It is she who is still seeing Franzen, and that's frightening faces. If I ever say Franzen, it's frightening faces. Anna allowed that she did. You see, didn't I tell you? The church ought to be doing something about that. There are special papers, you know. There is exorcism. I can't understand why the priests don't push the matter with the celestial authorities. After all, the girl needs help. On September 16th, as father wrote to his bishop, The Hein called him. He had met her briefly before, and he had been told, sorry, my mouth gets really dry. He had met her briefly before, and he had been told that she bragged about having discovered Annalise, as she wrote in his letter. She was very excited and told me that something should be done. A few things had happened again. If our own, I said the word before, authority would not listen, maybe we should go to another one. I told her we had done everything that was necessary and meaningful under the circumstances. After all, I told her, I could not report on a problem that had improved considerably and had temporarily been vanished completely. Annalise must have felt very low at this time, for the next day, September 17th, she, also Father Alt, had asked him for an appointment. He has left us a vivid picture of what happened in a letter dated September 30th, 1974, to Bishop Stagel, okay? She came with her father and was in bad condition. She was depressed, her glance unsteady, restless from the inside, and it wrote, with poor muscle control, as it were. I asked her father to let me talk to her privately, to her, and then gave her the solemn priestly blessing. A heavy load lifted off of her. I prayed with her. She felt better. The strongly dilated pupils of her eyes contracted during the conversation, which instantly, 20 minutes, I kept repeating the solemn priestly blessing and the prayer. Each time I did that, she felt progressively better. Finally, she said that everything was all right again. Afterwards, her father observed with disconcernment that his daughter had changed radically. In concluding his letter, Father Alt then proceeded that Annalise did indeed suffer from a circumcision, a condition fostered by her sensitivity and her delicate physical condition. Yeah, women are always delicate and yeah, fragile, aren't we? could not be blamed on any failing on her part. Okay, I take that back. The bishop, therefore, should give permission for her solemn exorcism to be spoken over her at a time of crisis, that is, when she was especially molested. You have to look in the Webster's Dictionary or ask Dr. Google what the Webster's Dictionary of molested means. It's not always that, as it were. In culture, there's other meanings, just like the R word. And he explained that it should be done in secret in order to guarantee that the matter would retain the character of a worship service instead of degenerating into a religious sensation. Bishop Stangl was not convinced. He instructed Father Alt to continue observing the case, but he was not to recite the solemn prayer of exorcism over her. Annalise may have foreseen that decision, because even before it came, she decided to take matters into her own hands. After all, she felt, Father Alt was only half convinced that she needed priestly help. She knew she needed more than she was getting now, so she was going to try to help matters by following his advice and becoming much more intensely involved with religious activities. Her book to Dr. Schreiman's clinic in May. She no longer consulted him. He was getting pretty tedious. It was not too difficult to see from the way he conducted his interviews that he kept accepting the same answers to the same questions. Ursula Cuse, and this is one of her friends, and the others soon noticed the estrangement. As Ursula said to the court investigator, we continued living on the same floor from time to time. It was no longer possible to establish close contact with her. She became very uncommunicative and literally segregated herself from us. Among themselves, the girls suspected that Peter was the reason. As to friends, Annalise made new ones among a group of girls from Friedenham who were considered religious zealots, girls who opposed the liberation style of worship being introduced at that time. They objected to the Mass being celebrated in German rather than the traditional Latin, and had refused to accept the new form of the communion. That is interesting. We're at page 68 now. I promise to read a little every day. How about we do twice a week, about 20 minutes each, okay? And, there's more behind this than just the movie, and it gets into everything. It's later on, and it's interesting because they even have in the book, there's no pictures. However, they have these graphs. So I'm very interested to find out what this is all about. I wish you all a great Monday. Thank you again for all of you that stuck with me. If you know anybody that might know somebody or knows somebody. Also, I'm doing some tarot card readings tonight on the live. I need to review some content just to refresh my memory, because sometimes, because everything's impromptu and I don't edit, I sometimes forget important points that I make. And when I hit the point, it's always on the nail, So at any rate, as I always say, be good to yourself. I will continue the same. And let the sun shine in. Okay, bye. Bye, everybody.